Good morning to everyone joining from Europe. Good afternoon for those of you joining from China. I'm David Orlandi, USM Center Partnership Manager. I would like once more to warmly welcome all of you for attending today's event and leave the floor to Ms. Maria Galán Lozano, our main expert today and keynote speaker with more than 18 years of experience in the beauty sector in the Chinese market, working as regulatory affairs specialist at To Open Beauty. Thank you very much for joining us here today, Maria.
Thank you, Davide. We'll cover definitions, classification of cosmetic products, all pre-market requirements, labeling and claims rules, and finally, post-market supervision. The idea is to give you a full practical overview so you can understand what compliance looks like in real life. First, we will start with the fundamentals, an introduction to the Chinese cosmetic regulatory system, the legal definition of what China considers a cosmetic, the way products are classified, and all the main pre-market requirements, including registration, notification, product executive standard, and ingredient rules. Second, we'll look at labeling and claims. China has very specific requirements for how information must appear on the package, which terms can be used, and which claims are restricted or prohibited. This is one of the most common areas where foreign brands make mistakes. So we'll spend time clarifying it. Finally, we'll go through post-marketing supervision. This includes cosmetovigilance obligation, annual reporting, inspections, and the role of the authorities once your product is already on the market. Compliance doesn't stop after the product is notified or registered. China expects continuous monitoring. Regarding the competent authorities, the National Medical Product Administration is the central regulatory authority for cosmetic products in China. It oversees registration, notification, and safety evaluation of cosmetics, manage the approval of new cosmetic ingredients, and issue regulation guidelines and regulatory updates. The National Institutes for Food and Drug Control, operating under the NMPA, are responsible for safety assessment, quality control, and standards development for cosmetics. They conduct laboratory testing, adverse effect research, and analytical methods development. They also manage reference materials, professional training programs, and international cooperation. The State Administration for Market Regulation supervises the market enforcement of cosmetic regulation. The Ministry of Commerce plays a key role in the import and export of cosmetics. It is involved in bilateral trade agreements, set trade rules, and issues certain custom-related authorizations. The General Administration of Customs in China handles custom controls, including product inspection, documentation checks, taxation, and compliance verification. The core regulations you need to know is the CSR, Cosmetic Supervision and Administration Regulation. This was a major overhaul of the previous framework and set out the basic rules for how China manages cosmetics. It regulates classification, re-ingredients management, efficacy evaluation, safety assessment, online sales monitoring, accountability, and penalties. If you are working with the Chinese cosmetic market, CSR is mandatory. This slide gives you an overview of the key regulatory documents that support the CSR framework. CSR sits at the top as the core regulation, and you can see the different supporting texts that guide market access, cosmetovigilance, manufacturing, labeling, and safety. This slide focuses on the safety-related regulatory documents that support the CSR framework. Safety is one of the most heavily regulated areas in China, And the NMPA has published a large set of technical guidelines and standards to ensure that cosmetic products and ingredients meet strict safety expectations. If you need the translation of all these documents, please don't hesitate to ask me for it. Regarding the definition and classification, how China understands what is a cosmetic, according to the Article 2 of the CSR, cosmetics are products applied to external parts of the human body or the oral cavity for purpose like cleaning, beautifying, modifying appearance, or keeping these areas in good condition. China distinguishes two categories: general cosmetics, which include most daily products like skincare, lotion, shampoos, and special cosmetics, which are considered higher risk and include products such as hair dyes, sunscreen, anti-hair loss products, and products with new functional claims. A special cosmetic always involves stricter control. Cosmetic products intended for babies and children is an area where regulations are especially strict. For babies, meaning children from 0 to 3 years old, only very limited product functions are allowed under the general cosmetic category, mainly cleansing, moisturizing, hair care, soothing, or refreshing for the body. However, if the product claims sun protection or any other functional efficacy, it is automatically considered as a special cosmetic, which means it must go through registration instead of sample notification. For children aged from 4 to 12, including 12 years old, the allowed general cosmetic function expands slightly. Products may claim cleansing, moisturizing, hair care, soothing, refreshing for the body, as well as perfume, repairing, beautifying, or removing makeup. Again, if the product claims sun protection or any other functional efficacy, it becomes a special cosmetic. So the principle is basic care is general cosmetic and functional claims is special cosmetics. Products that claim to be suitable for all populations or the whole family, or products that implicitly suggest they can be used by children, must be treated as children's cosmetics. This applies even when the product is not explicitly marketed for children. Regulators look at the packaging, the symbols, numbers, pinning, cartons, colors, or any design element that could imply the product is appropriate for kids. In other words, anything that could be interpreted as child-friendly automatically triggers children's cosmetic requirements, which are more stringent in terms of formulation, labeling, safety assessment, and post-market supervision. So brands must be extremely carefully. Even an innocent-looking design element can place the product into the children's category and internationally. China uses a coding system to classify products for notification or registration. This coding appears in product dossiers and links directly to the regulatory route: registration for special cosmetic, notification for general cosmetics. According to China's cosmetic classification rules, every cosmetic product is assigned a 5-level code that corresponds to 5 standardized criteria: claim function, application area, target population, product form, mode of application. This coding system is mandatory and must be included in the product notification or registration submitted to the NMPA. Regarding special use cosmetic and general cosmetic process to access the market, both processes began with the application by the cosmetic registrant or notifier, followed by the required labs test and the preparation and submission of the dossier. For special cosmetics, such as sunscreen, hair dyes, anti-hair loss products, whitening products, and cosmetics containing new high-risk ingredient, the process is much more demanding. After dossier submission, the NMPA first performs a format review, which takes about 5 working days. If it passes, the product proceeds to the technical review, which can take up to 90 working days. If everything is compliant, the product receives a registration certificate, which is valid for 5 years. The product is then published on the NMPA website and can be marketed. If the dossier is incomplete or if safety issues are identified, the application can be rejected, and in more serious cases, an existing registration may be cancelled. For general cosmetics, which represent the majority of products, the pathway is lighter. After dossier submission, the NMPA performs a formal examination within 5 working days. If everything is in order, the company receives a notification receipt, and the product can be already marketed. Authorities still conduct a post-filing technical review, and if issues are found, they can issue a formal decision. Just like with registered products, if serious safety concerns emerge, the NMPA can require temporary suspension of use, removal from the market, or cancellation of the notification. Once products are on the market, there is still post-market requirements. Registered cosmetic must submit an annual report, including production data and adverse reaction. Notification records remain active unless safety issues arise. Any serious safety impact can trigger NMPA action, including suspension or cancellation of the product. In short, registration is stricter, longer, more documentation, and applies for special cosmetics. Notification is faster and lighter, but still subject to post-market checks. Both pathways require ongoing cosmetovigilance and safety monitoring, and both can lead to cancellation if risks are detected. For both registrants and notifiers, China requires a very complete technical dossier. This includes the company information form, product executive standard, full formula with ingredient functions and NMPA codes, manufacturing process, stability and safety data, efficacy summaries, GMP certificate, and all labeling in both original and Chinese version. China expects full traceability and consistency across all submitted files. The documentation required must be consolidated within the product executive standard report. Registration of a special cosmetic is much more demanding. You must provide full efficacy testing following Chinese standards, additional safety tests, packaging compatibility studies, stability testing, and in many cases, tests must be performed in Chinese accredited laboratories. Any omission or inconsistency can lead to immediate rejection. General cosmetics goes through notification, a lighter process, but accuracy is still essential. Here you can see what we can find for this example, regarding the publication of our information that is shared through the NMPA website. The level of public transparency is higher for registered products since they undergo a complete regulatory validation process. Their published information includes everything required for a notification plus registration certificate number, efficacy test report, a summary or the methodology, testing laboratory use, results of numerical data, for example, the measure SPF value, the satisfaction rate, validity period of the certificate, and details of the special cosmetic category. Regarding animal testing, that it has been a blocking point when going to China for many, many years. For imported general cosmetics, animal testing is no longer automatically required, but exemptions apply only when you have a recognized GMP certificate, the product is not for children, it contains no new ingredients, and you can provide a complete safety assessment. If these conditions aren't met, a test may still be required. Regarding the ingredients we can use when commercializing our cosmetic product in China, the inventory of existing cosmetic ingredients in China is an official list of allowed cosmetic ingredients. If an ingredient is listed, it can be used freely. If it's new to China, it must go through registration or notification, depending on the risk level. Once approved, the ingredient gets added to the inventory. Every ingredient also receives an NMPA raw material code used in safety information submission. Regarding the safety and technical standard for cosmetics, these standards compile prohibited ingredients, restricted list, positive list for preservatives, colorants, UV filters, and all the methods for physicochemical, microbiological, toxicological, and human safety testing. This is the technical backbone of compliance. A new cosmetic ingredient is any substance that has not been previously used in cosmetics products marketed in China. In other words, an ingredient not listed in the inventory. Any ingredient that does not appear in the inventory must undergo a specific approval procedure before it can be used in a cosmetic formulation. High-risk new ingredients such as preservative, UV filters, colorants, and other functional substances are subject to a stricter registration process. Low-risk ingredients may follow a notification procedure. For new cosmetic ingredients, especially high-risk ones, toxicological testing is required. This may include animal studies, unless recognized and accepted alternative methods are available, which is generally the case for low-risk ingredients. So, two possible regulatory pathways when introducing a new cosmetic ingredient in China: the registration for high-risk ingredients and the notification for medium and low-risk ingredients. The registration or notification of a new cosmetic ingredient may be carried out either by the ingredient manufacturer or by the finished product manufacturer, acting under authorization. For a period of 3 years, the applicant holds exclusive rights to use the new ingredient in China. During this monitoring period, the applicant must submit annual reports containing all cosmetovigilance data related to the ingredient. After 3 years of supervision, if no safety concerns are identified, the ingredient is added to the inventory. If safety issues are detected, the registration or notification is voided, and all products containing the ingredient must be withdrawn from the market. China requires a very detailed technical dossier for every cosmetic ingredient, regardless of whether it is high risk or low risk. The dossier is divided into 3 main sections. Basic information, this includes the ingredient's name in Chinese, in Inki, chemical and commercial names, identifiers such as CAS number, links, numbers, and any other registry numbers, the origin of the ingredient, synthetic, natural, fermentation, etc., complete composition information, molecular formula, structural formula, molar mass, key physicochemical properties like solubility, pH, stability, volatility, impurities, for the basic information. Another part is the technical requirements. Here we describe the function of the ingredients, moisturize, preservative, UV filter, its application or field of activity in cosmetics, and the concentration of use intended in finished products. And other requirements include precautions and warnings, storage conditions, the durability, shelf life of the ingredient, and with all this information, China is expecting a solid technical justification for safety, stability, and intended use. To move with notification of or registration of a new cosmetic ingredient, China classifies cosmetic ingredients into several types, depending on whether the ingredient is new to China, depending on its function, if it is UV filter, preservative, hair dye, etc. Whether it has history of safe use, whether it's high risk. These tests are not all required every time. The exact requirement we need to apply depend on the ingredient function, whether it's new to China, whether it's considered high risk, or whether there is existing safety data. So depending on the ingredient's characteristic, China may require a range of toxicological studies. Once the ingredient is already included in the inventory, the ingredient, the raw material, including different ingredients, must undergo an NMPA raw material code. This NMPA raw material code is a unique identifier assigned to every cosmetic raw material that is declared on China's official regulatory platform. It is essentially the ingredient's ID number within the Chinese regulatory system. Any ingredient appearing in a product notification or registration must have this code. The raw material code is automatically generated by the NMPA platform, requested by the supplier or by the company responsible for the raw material, assigned when the safety information file is submitted. So the moment an ingredient's safety data is uploaded to the platform, the system creates this code and links to that specific raw material. This identifier ensures ingredient traceability. Regulators can follow exactly which ingredients are used in which products. Version control, if a supplier changes manufacturing processes, impurities, or specification, the ingredient may receive an updated raw material code. Harmonization, since many Inki names can have multiple synonyms or variation, the raw material code ensures the system recognizes the ingredient correctly every time. It is mandatory for notification and registration. Without this NMPA raw material code, the product formula cannot be submitted. So it is a required element in every dossier, both for general cosmetics and special cosmetics. You must collect the raw material codes for all raw materials in your formula before you submit a notification or a registration. Your suppliers need to ensure their safety information is complete and compliant with NMPA requirements. It is always wise to double-check raw material codes, as mistakes or outdated codes can lead to delays or rejection during product filling. The raw material code may look like a small technical detail, but it is absolutely essential for compliance in China. It ties the ingredient to its safety information and ensure traceability across the entire supply chain. We are now moving into the second major part of today's session, that is labeling and claims. This slide gives you an overview of the mandatory elements that must appear on cosmetic labels in China and whether these elements are required on the primary packaging or the secondary packaging or both. Labels must include the manufacturer or filler responsible information, the durability information, the ingredient list using a standardized Chinese name, and for children cosmetics, warning and an official mask. China is very specific about the structure and wording of the labels. One very important point to highlight is that the China's label must correspond exactly to the original label. China does not allow companies to create a different or simplified version for the Chinese market. So this means that the Chinese translation must reflect exactly the same claims, the same product functions, and the same intended use as the original label. You cannot add new benefits or claims only for China. You cannot remove warnings or instructions that appear on original packaging. You cannot change or soften the wording to make the product sound more compliant. The add word, claims, functions, and instruction must be consistent across all markets. If the Chinese authorities find discrepancies between the original and the translated label, even small ones, the product can be flagged for misleading labeling, and this may lead to rejection, corrective action, or even recall. So the translation must be accurate, complete, and aligned with the global version. The Chinese version can be more detailed if required by regulation, but it can never contradict or reinvent what appears on the original packaging. China requires the final manufacturer to be clearly identified. Specific durability formats and ingredients listed with their standardized Chinese name. Again, and you can see here the mark for children's products. This table shows the different types of efficacy tests required in China, depending on the claim a cosmetic product makes. China classifies efficacy into several categories and assigns very precise testing requirements for each one. 4 possible types of supporting evidence: clinical trial or consumer use test, laboratory test, instrumental or in vitro, and literature or data, published scientific evidence. These requirements ensure that every claim made on a label or in an advertising is backed by solid evidence. It also means that the exact test use the methods, the lab, the sample size, and the results. become part of the public NMPA file, where consumers, authorities, and competitors can review them. It's very important, this point, because it's public information. A number of claims are prohibited, especially claims suggesting medical effects, overstated performance, pseudoscientific concepts, or other misleading promises. China treats claims like miracle, stem cells, hormone detox, or anti-stretch marks as are problematic. There's also growing scrutiny over claims such as natural, organic, or free from, unless you can provide proper justification. An important example of is the enforcement against the term anti-aging, that very often is used, but often also is nailed out. Authorities fine a brand for using this term because the product was only tested for moisturizing and anti-wrinkle effects. China differentiates very clearly. Anti-aging is not recognized as a legal efficacy category, so brands should stick to permit specific claims such as anti-wrinkle or firming. Let's talk now about post-marketing supervision. After a product reaches the market, supervision continues. Companies must monitor adverse reaction, investigate causes, report serious cases, and take corrective actions when necessary. Annual adverse reaction reports are required for general cosmetic sold for more than 1 year. China also requires a quality management system. They require companies to maintain a full quality management system covering production controls, traceability, supplier management, audits, and employee training. Authorities publish inspection results to increase transparency and reinforce compliance. Inspections can be routine or emergency, and cooperation is mandatory. Regarding the inspection measures recently published within this new regulatory framework since June 2020, still publishing technical tests in order to guide the industry to do good, they published in April this year, 2024, the inspection measure that define how China supervises cosmetic manufacturers and operators to ensure safety and regulatory compliance. China emphasizes public transparency. Inspection information is published on official government websites, including the companies inspected, the legal basis for the inspection, and the final results. This increase public access to regulatory information, which in turn builds consumer trust and strengthens accountability for both brands and authorities. For the industry, it provides a clearer understanding of regulatory expectation and encourages a stronger culture of compliance. This also highlights the role of regulatory managers inside companies. They need to ensure organizational readiness, maintain proper documentation, and cooperate fully with authorities during inspections. The NMPA oversees inspections nationwide, while local drug regulatory authorities carry them out at the regional level. Inspection check compliance with national standards, technical specification, and the requirements under cosmetic supervision administration regulation. Manufacturers and operators must fully cooperate. They cannot refuse, delay, or obstruct inspection in any way. This means that proper documentation, traceability system, and quality management processes must always be inspection ready. This inspection measures reinforce that compliance doesn't stop at registration or notification. It continues through the product life cycle, through regular supervision and transparent reporting.